Well, hello, everyone. Good to have you all this afternoon. My name is Greg Armstrong, and I'm the pastor of Renew Church in Westmont, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. And I want to welcome you to this special webinar on developing leaders in your church. This is a massive conversation that we'll definitely need more time later to dig into. But today, we're going to hone in and focus on how we can help leaders develop other leaders in your church organizations. So we're going to give you insights, actionable strategies for developing these leaders in your church. Today, we have with us, and I'm so excited about this, Reverend Dr. Don Davis. He's a special guest today, and he is a discipleship development visionary of World Impact Incorporated. Here's a little bit about Dr. Davis. He has extensive experience in discipleship, leadership development. He's an ordained minister, and he's also the founder and director of World Impact's Urban Ministry Institute, which is a research and training center dedicated to equipping leadership and empowering movements for the urban church, especially among the poor, to advance the kingdom of God in the city. Come on. I love it. Dr. Don Davis, welcome. We're so glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much.
Listen, this conversation for me, it's critical. I know there are going to be pastors that are watching this live or even watching it later. And so I'm excited that we have you on today to help us navigate some of the complexities of developing leaders in the local church. So you all know we're Seminary Now here, and we're streaming right now live on Seminary Now. And just a little bit about Seminary Now. It's a streaming platform that delivers video courses in Bible, theology, and ministry for a diverse group of leading professors and authors. And here's a little short video for you all to get a taste. So if you're viewing this webinar at seminarynow.com, we want to encourage you to preview more from my catalog. There is so much material, so many video courses, so much content for you to learn, to grow, to develop, and to be encouraged. And so lastly, I want to encourage you all to stick around at the end of this special because we have an offer for you. We have a special offer at seminarynow.com for leadership development in your church. So after my conversation with Dr. Don Davis, you'll have a chance to learn more about Seminary Now and how it can serve your church. Also, we're going to take questions. So as you have questions, I want to ask you to post them in the comment, and our team will make sure we get those questions asked Dr. Davis, and hopefully we can help advance what God's doing in your life right now. So leave a comment for us. All right, let's get started. All right, Dr. Don, we got a little bit of time to really lean into this conversation. So I'm going to throw a question to you to kick us off, which I think is important for us to frame how we can help leaders in this modern day in church. So here's a question. Why is it essential for leaders to have access to ongoing training in church ministry?
That is the critical question in some ways. In order to represent Christ as a church or local assembly, we need to equip everyone as ministers of the gospel, both lay ministry and more lead staff and clergy. I've always believed that the training issue is the formative issue. The ancient church sort of understood this. From the time you're like a zygote in the gospel. I mean, from the very time you start till when you become a seasoned ambassador for Christ, your ability to be equipped and be trained is the formative question in your life. Having nimble, affordable, culturally conducive systems that allow people, men and women, to get the sort of training they need to be effective ministers of the gospel in their families, with their friends, on their jobs. This is a big part of what it means to be a disciple of Jesus in any age, but it's certainly now. And the issues are difficult. So
Yeah.
we really do need, right from the beginning, we need to recognize in every church the absolute responsibility for us to equip and to release the people in our church, from staff to men and women, boys and girls. We have to equip them to be worthy disciples of Jesus and to share the good news where they live and serve and minister. So in some ways, asking that question, Greg, is like, it's a formative question. It's the question
Yeah.
for every church in its development. How are we going to equip our people to live an effective Christian life and to bear fruit that remains for the glory of God and advance of his kingdom?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because sometimes we have trained as, let's train people in the local church to become a minister or to become a leader, and then it's almost like a finality, like that's it.
Right.
But what you're saying is there needs to be consistency, ongoing at every level of church leadership. There needs to be a consistent training regimen to grow disciples in the church. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying. I think that from a person who is simply seeking the Lord to and on their journey to become a baptized believer, from being a believer to being a growing disciple, from being a growing disciple to being a faithful ambassador, every level of the Christian life involves equipping and training. I hate to say it, in a lot of our local churches, for our leadership, we have sort of passed on a lot of that to Bible schools, seminaries, graduate schools. We will deal with people at a certain level, and then we just move them to another. That's someone else's responsibility.
Right.
I think that's hurt us dramatically, not having nimble, effective, affordable systems in our local churches to equip our own people. I think that's hurt us dramatically in our witness.
Yeah, this is the church's responsibility.
Yeah.
Church is called to develop leaders, because we've often, in my experience, I've seen us often chalk that up to the corporate sector, right?
That's right.
Chalk it up to the educational space, but the church has the tools within itself
Yeah.
to train and equip leaders. Well, let me ask you this for the pastors and the leaders who are saying, Dr. Davis, that's great, but I see some problems. I see some hurdles. So can we talk about some of the difficulties that come with trying to raise up a culture of leadership in your church?
Yeah, the issues are so palpable. They just sit for everyone to see. My journey with our ministry, World Impact, we've dedicated everything that we have done to sort of address the formative barriers, and you can just tick them right off. Traditional leadership education is too expensive. It's not offered in the neighborhoods where people can access it. Oftentimes, and congratulations, Brother Greg, on your own sort of matriculation.
Thank you so much.
Oftentimes, the matriculation through graduate programs and whatever, the church is in absentia. She's not involved in that. As a matter of fact, we sort of hand that over to academics and not the practitioners to really do the training. I think a lot of the programming is irrelevant. I have over 300 hours of, higher ed and Bible and theology and ethics. A lot of what I had to take, several languages and dozens of courses later, I hate to say it, Greg, it don't preach. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to use that. It's not only expensive and long, the programming is kind of suspect, and a lot of the investment doesn't necessarily pay off in the ways that people think. Many of the people who actually go on to matriculate through Bible school or through seminary and graduate school, many of them don't have jobs waiting for them when they finish. So our system, I'm the result of good seminary formal education. But I'm not on a hobby horse against it. But I'm saying that our current system is too expensive, too long. It's not very irrelevant. The church isn't involved, and a lot of the actual training doesn't actually result in true positions of service and ministry. So we've got to overcome these barriers, to me.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and we get that. At the seminary level. We run into these challenges with those who do want to advance in leadership of the kingdom, and there are some definite hurdles. That's why I'm very thankful for seminary now, in that
Yeah.
providing this stream of education, leadership development, having access to academic minds and curriculum and programs to help those who may not go the traditional seminary route or may have challenges financially or other. So I appreciate your words on that. What can we do? What are some thoughts that you have within the church as to how we can overcome some of these hurdles? And I've heard a little bit already in terms of how we need to develop leaders in the church. Give us a little roadmap for someone who's watching right now.
Yeah, one of the most important things that I think any local church has to do, uh, the leaders in the church are going to have to make a determination to create a system that they can actually run and that makes sense to them. Now, I created the Urban Ministry Institute for World Impact. Our entire ministry is devoted to helping churches design and discover new systems to equip their leaders. Seminary Now is right in that space as well. We need the first thing I would say, Pastor Greg, to leaders in a congregation, say we need to train our own people. The first thing they must do is take full responsibility for the equipping of their own leaders.
That's good.
They're going
That's
to have
good.
to do it themselves. Now, I'm not saying we can't use formal schools and other programs, but we've got to take full responsibility for the equipping of our own people, and then see schools and ministries like World Impact or Seminary Now as really effective partners and tools that can help us design our own autonomous systems to equip and to release our own leaders. Because once you do that, that's where the genius of Seminary Now or World Impact really comes in.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't want us to miss that, because that was
yeah,
powerful. Us leaders have to take full responsibility
full
for the
response.
leadership advancement of those that are under our leadership in our church spaces. And I
Yeah.
think that's a powerful thought.
You can't delegate that off to someone. You can't say, I'm going to just give that to this Bible school or that seminary or this group or that group. The leadership that is being represented must, in fact, be owned by the leadership in the local church. When you go to our site, the first flag banner you have is our vision for a healthy church in every community of poverty. We're unequivocal in that. Seminary Now is a remarkable tool along these same lines. Uh, I think that the wisdom here, uh, Pastor, with Seminary Nows or World Impacts or other ministries like this, is that finally we have ministries who are devoting themselves to coming alongside and not taking all the responsibility from a local church, but providing them with the tools, the substructure, the systems that they can use to equip their own people. I mean, there's a real
Yeah.
difference. Hammers don't build houses, but
Do you see
carpenters do.
do you see this starting, like, how early do you see this starting in the life of a church? Because we're
Oh,
going to talk about culture in a moment, but
yeah,
sometimes we overlook youth, we overlook students, and we want to develop adults. But what's your take on that?
yeah. My view is that if you're a disciple of Jesus, if you're a Talmud or a Talmudah, uh, a boy or a girl disciple, or a man or woman disciple, to be a disciple is to continue in his word and to know the truth, and the truth will set free. So I believe, regardless of the journey, from seeker to believer, from believer to growing disciple, from growing disciple to a full-fledged ambassador of Christ, every Christian, boy or girl, male or female, adult or not, they must be equipped to live the Christian life and to share the gospel effectively with their family, friends, and neighbors. So this burden to equip is instant. It's like an escalator, Pastor. It's not a stair step. The
Yeah.
moment you start a church, you're on that escalator up to equip. You've got to equip from the first day of your church plant to however your 40th anniversary. You never lose the responsibility as a church to equip your own people. I am excited about these kinds of tools that Seminary Now, World Impact, or other ministries offer, because finally we're beginning slowly to recognize that the local church is responsible to equip its own people. If it is, then we need to provide pastors, Christian educators, disciplers, those who minister with effective tools and structures and systems that they can do that in their congregations affordably, do it right where they don't have to leave, quite honestly, don't go into debt. The barriers are real. You could literally raise someone from the dead and still not get into your seminary, Pastor Greg, if you don't qualify. Yeah. With the money and the academics, you can't do it. We need something that can take full advantage of the gifted teachers of the church, but not limited to people only who have money, the right academic background, access to schools that are largely in suburban neighborhoods. We need new thinking about how to equip men and women in the body of Christ to do effective ministry.
That's good. So that's good. And to clarify, I don't think Dr. Davis is talking about just getting people to serve at your church. This is a life discipleship relationship. Now, can you give us some practicals with that? What does it look like for a leader who's watching this to say, Johnny's come to your church, they perhaps are gifted, they feel a call to ministry. What are some things you're going to do with that individual? Of course, discipleship in God's word, etc.
Yeah.
What are some leadership practicals you're going to do with him or her as they move along in your church?
Well, one of the most important things is that a church can do is take stock of the sort of tools that it currently has. One of the first things that a church should do is saying, what are the equipping strategies, curriculums, programs, habits that we have in our church to bring people to a new level? And if they don't have them, then they have to be willing to admit it, to count the cost and say, we need, this got to become a priority. I mean, it's fine to say we have no real structure to equip disciples, raise up leaders, train Sunday school folk, train our elders, train our pastors. We don't have it. To just admit that is a really significant step. And once that is done, once that assessment is done, then I think that the leadership in the church is ready to test drive some of these ministries that have really practical tools that they can sort of explore. They should go from making those initial sort of determinations on where they stand, take stock of what they've got, determine to really make a difference, and then begin to explore what is out there in terms of how can we design a brand new system for our church, and then become a partner of ministries like Seminary Now or World Impact. There are ministries that have really a cache of wonderful resources. They should really explore these sites and these resources and then determine how to become a partner. And frankly, after they've tested it, they should go all out. They should actually shift their paradigm, begin to create their own system, and to begin to set up something in their church for their people to equip people in a way that's going to be affordable, accessible, culturally conducive, and something that the church can both run and sustain. So
that's good. That actually leads to a question I want to ask you about. So a leader, many leaders say, I just can't get folks growing and leading. And, that's always sort of a gripe with leaders in a church context. Let's help some folks on how to build a culture of leadership. What is that? How do you begin constructing a culture of leadership within your local church?
Well, the first thing that a church must do is it must take itself seriously. I am truly amazed after nearly 50 years of working with local assemblies, how many churches don't believe that their own processes of promotion and matriculation, identifying teachers and elders. They don't take their own processes seriously. And what I mean for a church is they're going to say, we're responsible for all of our Sunday school teachers, all our small group leaders, all of our elders in training, all of our pastoral staff. We are responsible for how they're going to matriculate in our church. We are going to design a system that these candidates for ministry and leaders with the youth group from the Christian ed department, worship leaders, we're not going to just let people by osmosis be drift into positions. We're going to actually lay out what's significant. We're going to explore roles and tools that can help them matriculate. And then we're going to set up systems that we're going to monitor and keep and allow our own people to go through. This is what I was saying, Pastor, about the responsibility of a local church. Once a church says we're responsible for the leaders and the equipping of our own people, then all of a sudden, then if with that seriousness, then they can begin to draft and craft an actual process that they will in fact monitor and keep. Until there's seriousness, Pastor, people will just drift in and out of positions.
Yep.
There won't be any real A to Z. There'll be no apprenticeships, no ways to onboard people, no ways to train them. This will only become effective, in my judgment, Pastor Greg, if a church really takes on with full responsibility its own deep, mature responsibility to equip its own people. Without that identity, you won't have the wherewithal to maintain a where you can see your own trainees to the end. You can't have an apprenticeship program without a program.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. This is based off something you said earlier. It's actually a comment that came in, a question. Dr. Davis mentioned the gap between seminary training and the experience in the local church, that gap.
Yeah.
It won't preach. What are the things that fill that gap, right?
Yeah.
And what can we offer that seminary doesn't in the local church context?
Yeah, this is really significant because we've got to make sure, especially if we're doing this for folk who have a day job in our churches and who are just participating as members in our church, we won't have the ability to do like some seminaries where you essentially have to take all the 500, 600, and 700 level courses that we tell you to take with a handful of electives. We're going to have to literally say what is necessary for the Christians in our local church context.
Our context, yes.
Our context. You know where we are, who we serve, what we're doing. What are the kinds of courses, workshops, seminars, training mornings? What must we offer our people to ensure that they're not only growing in Christ, but are effective ministries in our context? It means that the leaders are going to have to vet very rigorously the sort of materials that they expose their people to. And I'll go one step further. If the things that they are actually studying don't actually help them, then they don't qualify.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Unfortunately, dear brother, you and I did not have that decision. That was not up to us in our seminary and graduate school education.
Yep.
I mean, we have to take what we were told to take.
Yeah. And what you're saying, which is powerful, is that context matters.
Context is everything.
An urban context leadership development strategy is going to be different than a suburban leadership strategy, right? Because the needs and the complexities are vastly different.
Absolutely. And so I when I was in graduate school, I always wrote out my shadow syllabus that answered questions of poor people in the city. Because many of my professors had no experience in that. They weren't bad people. They were brilliant scholars, but they didn't have the benefit of living where I live, serving where I served, and doing what I did. So I had to take what they gave me and I had to massage it to make it real for the sake of what we were doing. I would say that this is true, Pastor Greg, for every sort of ministry.
That's a great practical. And I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
That's a great practical tip. Doing the work of filtering.
Yes.
This is great, scholarly, academic, and even like whether it's ethnography or culture or whatever. This is good. However, I need to do the work. So there's some work of the leader in the local church.
That's exactly right. This is
do
why
the translation work.
Yeah, this is why in some ways there can be no, you cannot, as a leader in your local church, pass off this responsibility to a school or someone else. Because what you said, dear brother, about context is the whole game. It's not a part of the game. The reason why the Gospels are different and the epistles are different is context. The context of Colossae was different from the context of Thessalonica, which was different from the context of Philippi, which was different from the context of the churches of Galatia. The same apostles, but different context, therefore different content. So what I am saying is that I think if we want to start a revolution, dear brother, with development of leadership in the local church, we've got to get our pastors and staff on board. They can't pass this off anymore. They're going to have to take full responsibility for the equipping of the children, teens, adults, and seniors in their own church.
I feel like not only do I feel like that's the thesis of this conversation, right? Yeah. And if you're watching this, you've understood this thesis that Dr. Davis has given us. It's this: leaders in the local church have to take responsibility. It's on you. It's your responsibility to figure out how you're going to best equip your leaders in your church and develop them, because it is a biblical mandate. Yeah. It is a part of our Christian witness. And then the next question, next part B of the thesis is you've got to find the tools to help you do that so that you can actually properly translate.
That's right.
What you learn into your context. And that's what I want to end with, talking about like tools. We mentioned Seminary Now, and which I think is a powerful tool. And you can talk more about it as well, to help develop leaders or to help take content that's very relevant. And then you might have to even then take that and contextualize it.
That's right.
But let's talk about what are some tools that you would suggest to help these leaders start this journey?
Well, I don't want to give a shameless plug for worldimpact.org.
I hear you, yeah.
But this has been our focus for the last 50 years. And it's my privilege and honor to be connected now somewhat with Jason in Seminary Now, which has a very similar vision to World Impact. We are unequivocal, very practically. Leaders should really go to seminarynow.com, go to worldimpact.org and look at the vision of using these materials in a contextualized way, in a particular arrangement to equip people in your context. This is, to me, Pastor Greg, this is not a flavor of the month. This is the future of leadership education in the future. Local assemblies and the leaders in them taking full responsibility for their own training, and then using these ministries like Seminary Now or worldimpact.org or others to actually help them cater a collection of tools that will allow them to train their own people. The responsibility is with the church. Let's be clear about that. There is no curriculum that can ever make a disciple. Disciples make disciples, but disciples need tools. In Seminary Now, worldimpact.org, they have spectacular tools that can be catered and collected and combined to be really practical, helpful, contextualized tools to begin to equip your own people. And I mean children, teens, adults, and ministers. So
this is so good. You know what? This webinar, in my opinion, this webinar was almost more of a prophetic call to leaders, right? You know what I mean? It's our webinar giving ways, they get tips, they get tools. But this, to me, Dr. Don Davis, which I appreciate you so very much, was a prophetic call to me as a leader and to other leaders that are watching, saying it's time for you to get up and do your
Yeah.
job, your responsibility.
This is really important, Greg, because I think, unfortunately, the church has abdicated its responsibility and just delegated the equipping of its leaders to seminaries, Bible schools, and other things. And you don't want to just reify that same problem with these wonderful sites like Seminary Now and World Impact. The churches have to take full responsibility for their own equipping of their own people, and then go to these places, form real partnerships with them, and to begin to use the tools that they offer to equip their own people for ministry. Look, Ephesians 4 is in the Bible. God has given apostles and prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. There's no place in Ephesians 4 that he's given curricula for that. The pastors use curricula to equip people. But
to do the equipment.
Yeah, to do the equipping. That's exactly where Seminary Now or worldimpact.org, they have spectacular tools. Oh my goodness.
That's good. Oh man, we need like 45 more minutes on this. But here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let Ethan come on. He's gonna talk about some of the tools that we use with seminarynow.com. Then we'll come back and we'll close out. But this has been a rich discussion. I'm just so blessed by it. So I'll welcome Ethan in to talk about Seminary Now, and then we'll come back and close.
Thanks, Greg. And thanks, Dr. Davis, for all that wisdom and great insight. I want to just take a minute and practically, as you're hearing and thinking through leadership development, give you some insight into what Seminary Now is, how it functions, how it can be used within your church. I've got to see many churches that have used it in different ways within their own context for their own people. Because our platform isn't just for individuals. We have church options that work within local bodies, that work within nonprofits doing various types of ministry. And you can find a lot of this information on our website if you go to seminarynow.com. But I want to quickly give you a little preview of what is on the website, as well as an offer that we have for the month of June for church subscriptions. You see, Seminary Now, we have a wide catalog of courses, and Gray, you alluded to this a while ago, but in topics like theology and Bible that are very practical, but then also in things like ministry skills, preaching, evangelism classes, leadership courses, and then also courses on topics that are important to think about in a Christian way. So if you look at the screen right now, you can see this is our website. This is what it will look like if you go to seminarynow.com. And in the top, that button that says courses, if you click on that, you can see our catalog. Go through there and view all the courses that we offer. You can see there's so many. And really that's because we want to give you the choice of what is it that you need? What is it that your people need as you're looking at building them up as a church leader? Again, if another resource we have is certificate programs, and these provide you as a leader with a learning track to build up new leaders, where you can tell them, go through this certificate program, and it's going to require you to learn this, get a well-rounded education from these 8 courses. We have 3 certificates as well, depending on what it is that you are needing to build people up in, whether that's seminary foundations, whether that's ministry skills, or even justice and reconciliation. Those are our 3 certificate tracks. And for you as a church leader, I think this is a great way to do leadership development like we've been talking about. It gives clarity that is often so necessary for an individual who's maybe a lay member in the church, maybe as a pastor and has so many other responsibilities. Clarity is so helpful for this development, for them to know what is this program that I'm going to go through, and how is that going to impact me? What do I have to look forward to at the end? So I want to go back to the homepage. You see In the middle of the screen there's a little link that says Get Seminary Now for your church. I point this out because if you're interested in learning more, you can go to this website. You can check it all out yourself. But if you click on that link, it'll take you to our church subscriptions page, which will give you all the pricing, all the details that you'll need as you're looking through this, seeing what is the right option for you and your church. We have options that provide annual billing or monthly billing. We know that that's important for many people. And within these church subscriptions, real quickly, it's going to give you two things. First, it's going to give you a group viewing license, and that's going to allow you to use this content in small groups and Bible studies, Sunday service, if you're interested in that. So all sorts of ways are going to be, the door will be open to you with this. And the other thing that it's going to provide is multiple logins for your leaders so that you can give Seminary Now to your fellow pastors, to your small group leaders, to leaders that you're building up in the church. They can go through these courses and learn and grow. And with that, I hope that that's a good picture of what Seminary Now is. I don't want to take too much time. Again, go to the website, check it out yourself if this is something you're interested in. But we have an amazing offer right now for June, the summer sale. This is the opportunity to get 50% off your first year of a subscription, which is just an amazing chance for you. Maybe you're on the fence about whether this is right or not. This first year, you'll get half off. It's a great chance to test it out, see what this would look like within your leadership development programs, within adult education ministries, within small groups and the like. And so you can go on our website, sign up for yourself, or you can email us with questions, sales@seminarynow.com. Any questions you might have about anything we've talked about today, whether it's the courses, whether it's the certificate programs or the June sale, reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation with you. But yeah, great. Thanks for letting me hop on. I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ethan. And I would encourage you all to take advantage of this. My church uses it, Seminary Now, and it's been a great formative tool for us with our leaders. And so, Dr. Davis, I'll give you the last word here, just to encourage us as we head out.
Well, more than any other single thing is that I think that I remember writing an essay when I was in graduate school that the ancients were not stupid. Sometimes we tend to think that with technology and everything that we have, that we're the wiser ones in leadership development. But Jesus essentially invested practical life-on-life investment with cash of leaders who would go on to become a world movement that would forever affect our society. And the church is the result of that investment. We simply need to rediscover our responsibility to equip disciples and leaders in our own context so that they can go and do the work that God Almighty wants them to do. This is not rocket science, but it is transformative and revolutionary for local churches to take full responsibility for equipping their own people at every level in the word and in the ministry so they can be effective ambassadors for Christ in their own context. What a great vision to sort of rethink our ministries with. What a great opportunity for us to just start afresh on our own leadership development journeys, each one of us.
So good. Wonderfully said. Thank you, Dr. Davis, for this great time together. We hope you all are encouraged today. Thank you for joining us here at Seminary Now. And until next time, we will see you all back right here. God bless.